Ladies and gentlemen, the time has once again come to go after a commentary YouTuber. Her name is Illuminaughtii, and she managed to get herself into some trouble recently, which all started with an accusation against another YouTuber of plagiarism, and has now evolved into a full-on wave of hatred against her content and against her as a person. So let's talk about it. Alrighty, so who is Illuminaughtii? Well, she's a commentary channel that leans more in the documentary type of channel direction, right? Sort of what I do on my main channel, Turkey Tom, but she uploads a lot, as in like every other day, basically. She's posting a 30-minute expose video, whatever, right? She also seems to have a sort of left-wing slant to her channel, making videos about like the right wing or whatever. Now, I will say I find something very off-putting right off the bat about her content, which is the way she introduces her videos.
It's time once again to stop pyramid schemes, scams, and other forms of corruption.
Now, I think sometimes it's a good idea to make videos for some kind of social good, like exposing an evil person or bringing to light some information that is in the public's interest to know. Those are good things. But this channel does not do that. This channel makes entertainment about stuff that they themselves did not expose. It's just regurgitating exposés other people have done in articles and stuff like that. Now, there's nothing really wrong with that. I mean, it's entertainment at the end of the day. What I do is entertainment. In fact, I do what Blair does on my channel, basically, right? It's that same kind of content repeatedly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with making videos about other people's reporting and putting together a story. But Blair's channel is not doing investigative journalism, and I don't like that introduction because it frames the videos as a much grander thing in scale than they actually are, right? End of the day, they're dumb TMZ type entertainment. They're not true documentaries. They're not true investigative journalism, right? It's just not that. It's not doing any kind of social good. It's making videos that are entertaining to make money, and that's fine. I don't like her framing, right? And as I said, she uploads a ton of videos. She's extremely prolific. Video basically every day with highly edited transitions and stuff like that, which is insane output. And the way she accomplishes this is with a team of people. A team of editors and researchers and writers who help her out with content. Now, once again, I'm not criticizing her for this. I mean, if I did, I'd be a massive hypocrite because I pay people to help me out with my channels too. But this team she has is a very important thing to the story at hand. And I think to understand what went down here, this content farm team is integral to understanding it, because Blair heavily relies on these people to get her content out. She could never have the output she has without having all these people, right? In fact, they basically built her channel. So on April 20th, Illuminaughtii posted a Twitter thread accusing another channel of plagiarism. Not at Legal Eagle editors broaching my editors to take my video style, and when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have the messages from my editors and found an email from them too. Just change the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So I went through my emails and found this, just outright saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but if you could make it easier for me, I'd appreciate it. Also went to my Discord server to try and get more to copy the style. And here attached we have a screenshot where someone who edits for this Legal Eagle channel is asking if they can speak to the editing team to figure out how they did a specific effect. And following this, she shows one example from one of her videos, and then one from a Legal Eagle video which shows a very similar effect being used, right? She ends this thread by saying, and to be honest, I wouldn't have believed any of this was trying to replicate my videos if not for the email and Discord stuff that was done preemptively to their video coming out. Like, talk about, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just make it a little different. Shaking my head. Now, when I saw this thread, I immediately thought it was dumb for a few reasons. Firstly, the messages she sent from her Discord looked like someone just asking to speak to the editing team to get some pointers, not trying to steal her editors or anything like that. There's a level of malice being ascribed here that I just personally don't see. Beyond that, the editing techniques themselves are both extremely common. To me, they're some of the most commonly used effects in all of YouTube, really. I mean, go to any documentary, true crime, long-form commentary video, and unless it's a Wendigoon video where he just shows his face the entire time, you're bound to see the same editing techniques employed as on Blair's video, right? And it's not like she's the first person to do this. I've been seeing these editing techniques for 5-6 years now. So the whole call-out is a very silly issue to me, and I saw it as a really dumb thing to even be upset at, honestly. Even when people have directly copied, and I'm doing air quotes behind the microphone right now, but even when people have directly copied my own editing style, I don't get mad because it's editing. At the end of the day, it's already just throwing a bunch of media together anyway to make something new, so I find it flattering when someone just takes inspiration from my editing or thumbnails or whatever else. And on top of that, my editing style is not completely unique. It's aesthetics that are informed by other people's videos that I watched because I like their videos, so I take their aesthetics, I combine it into my own thing, and you know, that's quote-unquote my editing style, but it's not really. It's just a bunch of influences and inspiration I took. I mean, to me, when I see someone replicating an effect I'm doing or something like that, it really just shows that I'm doing something right. Or or that the people I hire to edit my videos are doing something right, because I tried to pass off my own editing style to them. Big thanks to the Turkey team, by the way, could not do it without you guys. Editors share ideas all the time, so it seems silly to me to try and claim like specific effects as well. Considering iilluminaughtii did not even edit the videos herself, I'm surprised she caused this big of a fuss. Now, this thread was deleted after everyone in the comments roasted her and basically called this a non-issue, and then Legal Eagle himself posted a Twitter thread response as well. Hey, @iilluminaughtii, I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team is trying to copy you. Without an exhaustive review of your channel, I believe we used those two styles before your channel did. We've used them for 3 to 4 years. Plus, the two styles, a pseudo paper rip and a highlight, are extremely common on YouTube. The editor you're talking about didn't even design either of those two elements. Again, we've used them for 3 to 4 years at this point. Danny is a great and thorough video editor. When he reached out via email, he was just hoping to find out what plugin your team used on a particular video, a very common practice among editors. He was not looking to copy anyone's style. Danny is also a freelancer who makes his own videos. In the Discord, the video he referenced was about being inspired by your subject matter, not your style. He's a fan of yours. The video he was referencing was a video of his own, not a Legal Eagle video. Here's the end of the Discord chat that Danny provided to me. He was trying to edit a video of his own using only DaVinci Resolve. He was just looking for some technical help, and then thanked everyone anyway. And as we can see here, the conversation between his editor, being Danny, and the mod team of the Discord was perfectly amicable. It didn't seem like he did anything wrong. If anything, the mod team was a little like, you shouldn't ask that here, but it's whatever, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, it just seems like kind of a nothing burger to be mad at. The guy was just asking for a little bit of technical help on, getting something done sooner. He was like, I can do it anyway, but, if you guys have some tips, I'd appreciate it, right? And Legal Eagle follows us up by saying, YouTube is great because it's collaborative and the rising tide raises all ships. True, very true, Legal Eagle, and I'm glad that you're espousing this idea, because I think there's this idea to some YouTubers that if you're succeeding, then it's like at the expense of someone else, and there's this like limited market share. But there's so many people on YouTube at this point, the idea that someone else succeeding is like taking your place is really silly. I think that the better that we all do as YouTubers, the better that we all do as YouTubers, the better that everyone does, right? My team and I always try to provide original, high quality, informative content. We try to help others when they ask for it. There aren't really any trade secrets around here. I didn't know that Danny reached out to you, but I don't fault him for doing so. If anything, I think everyone on the platform should be more open and sharing. And I basically agree with everything Legal Eagle said here, not only with these specific refutations to the accusations that iilluminaughtii made, but also the sentiment being expressed about how sharing is caring, and it's ultimately good for the YouTube ecosystem as a whole to just share ideas and help each other out. Effective artists know this. They know that hoarding your ideas and never sharing them with anyone, never sharing your techniques, is not beneficial for yourself or others. Collaboration is a great part of YouTube, and this mentality that iilluminaughtii or Blair has is very silly and honestly self-destructive. So at this point, she kind of just looked insecure about her own very commonly used editing practices. It looked like she was just starting drama with a fellow content creator and trying to harm their reputation over a non-issue. And overall, it just felt like a big nothing burger. Well, following this, some people from my community, like Nicholas DiOrio, who was formerly friendly with Blair, began to tweet about it, basically celebrating that someone other than him was realizing this person is a bit off. Fact: iilluminaughtii deleting her call-out post of Legal Eagle is pathetic. People should use the public channels to urge Blair to make a proper and thorough response. And then following this, Blair claims someone was trying to hack her Google account and get into her stuff. Now, she did not explicitly say that this was a result of the controversy around all of the Legal Eagle stuff, but there seemed to be some implication that someone was taking the drama too far. And Nick here basically accused her of lying. He said he doesn't believe that anyone's trying to hack into her accounts. I don't know what the case is here. I mean, I personally have had people try to hack into my accounts before, and it, kind of made me wicked paranoid about stuff. So maybe Blair is telling the truth, but at the same time, I don't know. The timing seems a little whack, right? But then again, maybe someone really is mad at her because she was mean to Legal Eagle, and there's just some nut job trying to get into her accounts, right? Who knows? And then some people start making videos about the situation, including Big Joel, who's like a leftist video essay channel that some of you may know of. Not really my cup of tea, as many of you know, but regardless of that, the video he made about Blair was like 5 minutes long and is really just a quick summary of the situation. It's not really too extreme on her, it's not too hard. It's a pretty just like bare bones explanation of what happened. He gives his opinion being like, it's not really plagiarism, it's kind of dumb to say that, and then he moves on. Now, following this, a Blair fan made a Reddit post talking about the whole thing, which is, I mean, to be honest, this post is unhinged and dumb as fuck. It's a total deflection of the drama to pretend as if she's like a good person or something, and it's just ridiculous. And Blair gave a very short response to it following this, just saying she apologized to Legal Eagle privately and that she's not sure who Big Joel is. So keep in mind as I read this, it was not written by Blair, it was not written by Illuminaughtii, it's just some fan of hers that's a nut job that she responded to. So I just want to read it out for you guys so you can see how stupid this thing is. Open letter to Illuminaughtii, Big Joel, and Legal Eagle. Resolve your drama privately or I'm unsubbing and unfollowing you all. It's funny when people think they have like some kind of pull over a YouTuber they don't know. It's like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna unsubscribe. I hate to break it to you, buddy, but nobody cares what you think. Nobody gives a I'm done to death with leftist YouTuber drama, to the point I almost want nothing to do with any of them anymore. It's been one hell of a stressful year without this bullshit on top of it. With the Supreme Court of the US threatening to limit abortion rights further, with anti-trans legislation becoming more hostile and being passed all over the US, and the very fabric of democracy being challenged in this country, to the point where I even wonder if there will be a fair election next year. But nah, you know what we really need right now? Left YouTubers avoiding the hard and pertinent topics, and instead accusing each other of petty shit, hurling attacks at each other, sinking each other's fan bases at each other like they are actual fascists. Have you convinced yourself that somehow fascists or like far-right YouTubers are the only people with toxic personalities and the only people that go after each other? I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of infighting among like leftists because they are constantly trying to purity test each other and eat each other alive. It's like their favorite thing to do. Motherfuckers, I'm stressed enough as it is, and I look to you all for solidarity. I follow each of you because you have a lot to say on these issues, and it ensures me I'm not going out of my fucking mind because I'm not the only one who feels things are going fucking wrong. But of course, turbulent times like this seem to be the perfect time for speakers within the community to draw lines in the sand and measure the sizes of their egos against each other. To hell with it. I don't know what's going on with you three, and honestly, I don't give a rat's ass. How about you settle your problems like adults, privately and with level heads, rather than air out your laundry in front of your already stressed fan base? Get your priorities right for the love of God, and use the effort you use into attacking each other into actually solving and discussing the issues that actually matter to us, or I'm dropping all of you. Once again, like the delusion that anyone will even care what this random Reddit fucking person thinks, right? Some random Redditor who's making a post that got like 10 likes is delusional to the point that like if they write some letter to them, then people will be like, oh, I can't lose this subscriber. I gotta change course. And even beyond that, this post is hilarious for a few reasons. I mean, firstly, the idea that leftist YouTubers are like saving the world and they're smashing the fash. No, these people are entertainers at the end of the day. Now and then their videos may raise awareness for some issue, and there may be some good that comes from their content, but at the end of the day, these guys make videos for money, and that's why they have Patreons and make tens of thousands of dollars a month off of it. That's why they collect all the ad revenue from their videos, and then instead of solving these systemic issues they claim to care so much about, they pull a Hassan and buy a Porsche, or just hoard all their money in savings and do nothing with it. These guys are not fighting the good fight for you. They're not your parasocial, leftist, Antifa super soldier best friend to validate your opinions. They are entertainers. And they know it too, so you should stop coping yourself into believing anything else. Sorry for the sidetrack. It's just a funny post that Nick reposted on Twitter that I wanted to take a look at. Gotta blackpill some of these BreadTube fans, okay? Now, her replies on Twitter are basically plastered with people telling her that she needs to respond to this drama in some way and issue a public apology. Honestly, if she and Legal Eagle resolve this in private, I'm inclined to say no public apology is needed because, well, she didn't, like, you know, accuse the public of plagiarism. She accused Legal Eagle of plagiarism. Now, keep in mind the accusation was public, and if Legal Eagle feels that she should make a public statement about that as a form of her apology, then that's one thing, and I think that makes sense, but given that she deleted the thread, given that she's claiming that Legal Eagle, you know, at least has seen her apology, I guess, I'm assuming that he accepted it, unless she's lying about that. If she is lying, I assume Legal Eagle will make some public statement about that, but honestly, to me, it seems like kind of a non-issue that she hasn't apologized publicly for this. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of not a big deal, in my opinion. If she apologized to the people involved, I don't think there's much more you can expect. Now, I guess following this, pretty much everyone who's ever had a grievance with Blair has decided to come forward to put out a thread about her. Now, normally, I kind of feel some of this may be somewhat opportunistic, you know? Anytime someone gets called out, you have like 30 other random people being like, well, they were mean to me on Discord once. This dogpile thing is kind of cringe to me. That being said, there are some worthy criticisms being made here that are directly related to the topic at hand. Some of these criticisms are from former employees of Blair under her, I think she has like a collective called Sad Milk that people were working with, and I believe that a lot of people were a part of this project with her, and it turned out pretty poorly because according to them, she was just a really shitty human being. Now, before I get into that, it's worth noting that even from the top down, Blair's getting a lot of criticism from other big leftist YouTubers, such as H Bomber Guy, who probably is one of, if not the biggest leftist video essay channel, and he made a tweet showing what looks like some actual plagiarism from one of Blair's videos. He placed some clips side by side from one of her videos in an older documentary, and it seems like it's verbatim the same exact thing, right?
Professor Hugh Freudenberg.
Professor Freudenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Freudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Now, whether she wrote this herself or one of her writers or something did it and she just published it without realizing the blatant plagiarism is unknown to me, but at the same time, whether she wrote it or not, she does hold some responsibility for releasing this, right? Especially given how she went out to accuse someone else of plagiarism, falsely, mind you, right? It wasn't actually plagiarism, and then here we have her doing the same exact thing, that she was accusing someone else of, if not 20 times worse, right? I mean, this is more or less a taste of her own medicine type deal. And the clips themselves that H-Bomber Guy shows are pretty damn egregious. It is a word-for-word verbatim rip, it seems, from this other documentary, which is genuine plagiarism that should be called out. Now, that being said, in reference to the other callouts, I feel that while they're not necessary to be made, I will say the accusations seem in line with her character, honestly. My biggest problem with all of them that I've seen from our former employees is that there's no screenshots, there's no evidence of anything, and that's not to accuse these people of lying, because obviously sometimes it's hard to have proof for something like this, but at the same time, like, I just wish there was something to go off of, you know, because I want to believe them. I want to be on their side totally. I want to be like, Blair, she's a piece of shit, but I just don't know, right? I just don't know. So firstly, we have this dude called The Click, who I've never heard of, but I guess is like a commentary YouTuber with 1 million subscribers, and he made a pretty extensive thread about Blair, calling her out for a number of things. Hey ya peeps, I've seen the recent drama regarding Illuminaughtii and would like to clarify I'm not affiliated with her, and I haven't been for over 2 years. I left her and her collaboration group, Sad Milk, due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events, lashing out at friends and fans, paranoia, and generally poor anger management, to name a few. Eventually, I believe pretty much the whole group left her. The last meeting I ever had with her, she spent half an hour, I think, hard to know, screaming at me for an array of random things, calling me a bad friend, lazy, and a bunch of random accusations that didn't really have anything to do with me. There's no way you can have the resume you claim and be this f***ing stupid, and so on. No one even raised their voice back at her. I left along with several other members, half the group at the time. She spent the next few months spreading lies and half-truths about us on the Sad Milk Reddit page and vague posts on Twitter. I still have all the screenshots. She would turn friends against you, or specifically team up with people she knew didn't like you, so she had allies against you. Rallying mainly banned problematic community members known to be liars and conflict seekers. When people started questioning that maybe she was the reason everyone left, there was a very convenient digging up of 11 to 14-year-old videos of me, stuff I made back when I started my channel in 2009 when I was a teenager. As you can probably guess, some of the jokes from that time aged like milk. I publicly owned up to my past mistakes and apologized, doing my best to be transparent and honest about my past. She would still harp on it, ignoring the fact that it had already been addressed, trying to direct as much attention to it as possible, publicly stating that it was a bad apology, along with vague posting about it in comments on the collaboration channel, maybe in an attempt to get people to assume I had been kicked out for poor behavior, rather than leave because of her own behavior. She, assuming it was her and she had channel access, also liked to pull what I can only describe as very petty acts of revenge. For example, some people left comments on the collaboration channel saying, "Good that Click left." They obviously got ratioed hard as people were there for the creators. She would manually go in and delete the ratioing comments, but leave the original hate comment. She tried to gain control of my Discord when it surpassed hers in size, by tossing around accusations at staff and trying to get rid of my team and replacing it with hers, giving me the ultimatum to fire my entire senior team or be publicly fired from Sad Milk myself. I was still a YouTube freshie at the time and she was quite intimidating, claiming connections and clout, reputation, and powerful friends. So everyone stayed mostly silent and had to constantly look over our shoulders for the next year. None of us even mentioned the whole thing. We were even worried about talking in our own Discords as it became apparent she had spies within our moderation ranks. We were just hoping we wouldn't have our reputation completely destroyed for simply walking away. This is just a brief summary of events. It's sad to see she hasn't changed. Alright, well if that's all real, then definitely a justified call out. That probably needed to be out there. Now keep in mind there's no evidence for any of what is said here, at least as far as I'm aware, regarding the private interaction reactions, so you should take this all with a grain of salt. As I said, I'm unfamiliar with the clique, so I don't even know how credible this guy is. I'm not calling him a liar by any means, but, you know, it's just with accusations like this, it's good to have a little proof before you go all overboard against the person, right? But if half of this is true, then the Blair rabbit hole goes way deeper than I initially thought. I mean, she'd basically be the next creep show art, right, if this stuff is real. From manipulating people to hate each other, being vindictive over basically nothing, digging up people's 10-year-old jokes to try and make them look bad. I mean, she sounds like a terrible person to be around. Like, why even want to speak to Blair, let alone be her employee, given everything said here? I honestly would guess that some of the people who work for her right now will probably leave as a result of these threads. And following this, another creator named Wonderstruck also posted a thread talking about Blair and accused her of many of the same things, as well as just generally being a shitty human being. Wonderstruck really went all in on her, and this guy actually claimed to have lived with her for an amount of time, which definitely adds some credibility to the accusation, right? The amount of hours I would spend online making drafts, editor tutorials for new hires, staying up, trying to get some editing in if editors were shorthanded. I missed Christmas with my brother and father fixing the mistake of the editor she hired, and I didn't even get a thank you, and it took me more than half a month to even get paid. Meanwhile, she delays payments to editors so she can purchase expensive clothes, visit BMW dealerships, and spends hundreds on food in a day. While I do hold my beliefs towards certain matters, every month or so there was a new villain of the week, and they would one second be a normal person in our lives, and the next second suddenly a hidden monster through, you guessed it, Blair's mouth. I mean, she sounds straight up psychotic, like picking personal friends every week to go after and accuse of something. I assume because they basically like wronged her in some way, slighted her, made some joke at her expense. Who even knows at this point? I mean, given her reaction to Legal Eagle, a lot of things could be potentially assumed from what this guy's saying, right? That being said, once again, there's almost no evidence being included here, so who's to say how true all this is, right? We do know at the very least that the clique did know Blair, so there's some credibility there, and we also know that this person, Wonderstruck, apparently lived with Blair, and some of the proof they provided was a picture of her house. She lives like an actual monster. Her home is a mess, like hoarder's bad. Constant subtweets about me on Twitter and ignoring me, and if I dare say anything back, her Discord manager would happily remind me of my contract. This is disgusting. And so here we have a picture of a room, I guess, which does indeed look like some ridiculous depression den. I mean, it's just fucking foul, right? And I guess this dude actually lived with her for a while during all of this, which does, once again, you know, like I said, add some credibility to the accusations. But also, once again, I just wish there was more concrete evidence of all of this instead of just a Twitter thread going over the stuff the dude alleges. He does say there's some kind of contract that prevents him from speaking, and I honestly am willing to believe him on that. But regardless of that contract being in place, for me, as someone on the outside looking in, I just wish there was more to talk about. I know having proof for a situation like this is tough because it's a personal falling out and they knew each other in real life. So a lot of these interactions, if they did happen, were away from a camera or like something you can screenshot, right? Regardless, I just wish there was some proof to really put the nail in the coffin here, you know? Blair, you can't hide anymore. Sooner or later, you were going to push everyone who cared about you away, and you'd realize the world isn't out to get you, but you made your fears a reality all on your own. Now, if these allegations are to be believed, Blair is basically a psychotic person who has no regard for other people and is extremely paranoid about being backstabbed or f***ed over, probably because she does that to other people all the time for personal gain. And this whole villain of the week thing is reflected with Legal Eagle, as she seemed to believe delusionally that someone using an editing technique was actually stealing something that was rightfully hers, right? When that could not be further from the truth. It just took one domino, ironically started by her, for all of these people to come out, and now people are claiming that she harassed some artist off the internet for drawing her little pyramid girl persona in a swimsuit, maybe because it's not accurate to what Blair looks like in real life. I really don't know what made her upset over this, but here's the thread. Illuminaughtii is a YouTuber I once respected and watched a ton of her videos many times for years for both her production and the fairly valued information her videos provide, but it's come to my attention about her recent actions and continued pattern of behavior, more recently weaponizing her online influence to deplatform an NSFW artist, Ludenwolf, for drawing a harmless, tasteful pinup of her persona. No nudity, just her persona in a one-piece swimsuit, in a basic pose with bedroom eye and one-color background. That was it. And here we have the swimsuit version that I guess greatly upset her. It's interesting to see all of these people come out about Blair because, on one hand, you know, when I see a drama like this that's mostly petty, seemingly from the start, right, this plagiarism accusation, which is kind of a nothing burger from the start, even about talking about Blair's character, right, it doesn't say that much. Let's say it was just one scenario where she got really upset at someone for no reason. Maybe she's having a bad day and she decides to make this accusation against another creator, which is not fair, but in my opinion, that is forgivable, right? What she did is forgivable in that case. But then she kind of opened this whole can of worms to other people to talk about their own grievances with her, from H-Bomber Guy showing this instance of plagiarism, which is definitely really bad on Blair's channel, and I, think there should be some response from her on that. And even beyond that specific instance, right, you have all of these ex-employees and collaborators of hers basically saying that she is a piece of shit. I mean, if you go to the channel of this guy, The Click, he has 1 million subscribers, right? 1.2 million subscribers. If you go to his Twitter, he's got 60,000 followers. I mean, he's definitely not a small YouTuber. He honestly rivals Blair in size. I mean, he's got 1.2, she's got 1.7. It's not that big of a difference in size in terms of relevance or popularity, right? And so for this guy to go out and let's say he lied about all this stuff, right? That would be a huge risk to his reputation. It would make him look terrible. And if it was proven that he lied, then he would look like a massive scumbag piece of shit. And this is someone whose entire channel relies on his personality being likable. I mean, I go to this guy's channel, his face is in every thumbnail, his personality is being showed in all of these like half-hour long videos where he reacts to stuff. So his whole channel really is his personality and how he reacts to the content that he talks about. So for him to lie would be a massive risk to his reputation. And to be honest with you, from looking at his channel, he seems like a relatively brand safe guy who doesn't want to kind of go, against the grain of things, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not trying to insult him by saying that. I'm just saying he doesn't strike me as someone who wants to, start trouble or start drama. And in this scenario, he felt the need to come out and talk about this person who he doesn't want to associate with anymore because they basically fucked him over in the past. And so for him to be lying, it would be a huge deal, right? It would be massive. So personally, I'm inclined to believe that he's probably telling the truth. I don't know that, and for that reason, I'm not going to totally condemn Blair, but to me, it seems kind of silly to think that he would totally lie about this, right? And even as I'm recording this video, I went to see The Click's profile on Twitter, and he retweeted another person tweeting out their problems with them. This person's called Oz Media. They have 35,000 followers on Twitter. If I go to their YouTube channel, there's 500,000 subscribers here, and if I look at what this person is saying, they're basically reiterating the same exact stuff about Sad Milk, about Blair, and about what went down, and they're saying that, basically The Click and Wonderstruck are telling the truth. I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads exposing Sad Milk in 2020 to 2021. I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. Yeah, it's a mess, but the tweet threads posted by Wonder and Click and what they have stated about Sad Milk is the truth. I'll be adding those threads below. The whole project was a mess from start to finish. I really wish I didn't need to do this, but with the flurry of DMs I've been getting, I don't have a choice but to speak out. Blair, I'm sorry, but you have hurt me. I need to speak without being told by you, oh, I'm just the villain, I'm always in the wrong, or something along those lines. Words I've heard from you consistently. I want to be heard for once. I need to clear my mind and conscience after holding this in for 2 years. Forgive me, but it's what needs to be done. When looking at the whole project, it was mostly controlled and run by Blair. Her main worry was that because of her, in her own words, lack of personality, she felt as though her contribution to Sad Milk needed to be the managerial bureaucracy behind the scenes to justify her presence. This led to a defensive approach when anyone would attempt to assist with the nitty-gritty behind the scenes. Despite her claiming that no one wanted to help her, one of the factors she claims to be the final nail in the coffin of Sad Milk. Blair was indeed the aggressor. She always had been. As an example of this behavior, look at the Legal Eagle situation. Blair has the habit of starting fights, but will almost never publicly apologize if proven wrong. She will instead hide behind a private apology probably, and from my perspective, act as though this makes everything better. After all, she would express to me that admitting error would only make her look stupid and weak. This will be followed by her blocking people on Twitter, silencing her detractors through YouTube channel bans, deleting comments, and putting her accounts on the down low to prevent interaction. For example, on Sad Milk, she would blacklist former collaborators from being mentioned, but manually approve hateful comments towards them, which in my opinion, were specifically ones which instead praised her or the remaining members, including me. This is her MO. It has been for the 4 years that I've known her. It actually perfectly ties into how we first met and began to be on speaking terms in April of 2019. I mean, this thread is just, brutally exposing her. I mean, if this person is lying, if all these people are lying, which, this isn't to say that there haven't been accusations that have been false in the past. This isn't to say that there haven't been a bunch of, instances where a bunch of creators have come together falsely against someone else. This could be a situation like that. But, for now, at least, all these people seem to be convinced that Blair wronged them through this project, Sad Milk, and they seem to think that she's just a shitty human being in general, Sad Milk was very much like this. At the first sign of dissonance, her response was to have me confront OT and Click with this list of talking points in an attempt to show them just how wrong they are, which I accepted. This brings me to, well, me. What is missing from both Click and Wonder's threads is that fact that I acted as Blair's frontrunner. Anything Blair needed to say went through me first. Essentially, act as a spokesman. This is actually a common factor in our relationship. I would always act as a filter to keep her out of drama or from saying things which would have been seen as offensive or kindle for a larger fire. I stopped doing this in January. This does not excuse me from protecting her for this long, but it is the truth. I could take the approach and say I was manipulated, which perhaps I was, but I still knew what I was doing was wrong. I always did, and it always hurt. It left a huge black mark on my spirit and my ability to feel comfortable in my own skin. I had moved to Colorado, got a house, and lived with her at the time. She was in my life every day, and I would hear these theories and villainous explanations directed at anyone who wronged her. It was hard to avoid, let alone fall for them. I believed it was my responsibility to protect my friend from something that, in my view, was clearly hurting her, something that I felt was eating at her and making her daily life worse. Things which in hindsight could have been solved with a conversation, but she was unwilling. Instead, the conspiring, backstabbing, and rumor machine were put into full swing. I, much as Wonder and Salty, were forced by Blair to choose between her or Click and OT. Of course, I chose the person I lived with. What was I going to do? Move again? And the thread ends by them saying that they want Blair to apologize for once in her life and take accountability. They say, please Blair, you would rather paint the world red than admit you have faults. And there's just a lot going on here, right? I guess that basically wraps up the drama for now. Once again, there's not a lot of evidence for these claims, so if Blair responds with some kind of counter response and, manages to debunk all of this, I guess we may have some kind of, false allegation on our hand, and a lot of people will have to apologize to Blair, or at least admit they were wrong about her. But I think that given the plagiarism accusation and then the actual plagiarism accusation against Blair, which seems to be true, given those two combined, I think a lot of people see her as kind of an untrustworthy narrator, and for that reason, they're kind of poised to hate her, right? Whether Blair will actually respond remains to be seen. For now, it seems she's continuing to upload videos regularly and not really concerning herself with this drama, so she's just kind of ignoring it, in other words. Maybe she will acknowledge it someday, though. I predict not, though. I think if she's guilty of any of the things that these people are saying, then it will be a very difficult sell to get the audience back on her side. Her best bet is probably going to be to continue making videos and just wait for all this to fade into the background. She doesn't want to worry about it or think about it. I guess if all this stuff is true, then let it serve as a lesson to people that if you spend years fucking over your friends, eventually they'll probably want to talk to someone else about it. In this case, those friends were all fellow YouTubers and public figures, and the people that those public figures told were Twitter. Yeah. Follow my Instagram, TomButDark. See you all in tomorrow's video. Bye.